Hello and welcome to the Moonbase podcast. For the next couple episodes, or I don't know, I'll see how I end up doing this. I might mix in regular episodes with this, but I'll have it specifically be like a mini series within the podcast where I'm just reading from this book called Evasion by the group CrimethInc. And I found it on the Anarchist Library, and I heard some other podcasts related to train hopping talking about it, specifically The Voice of Gord. And I looked over it a bit, and it seems pretty interesting. So I thought I would do more or less an audiobook for it because it seems like it's just out there on the internet for everyone. I'll post a link to it, so if you want to just read it normally, you can do that. But if you want to listen to this book, I'll be reading through it. And I also want to work on my editing skills. So I'm also going to try and edit in sounds and stuff like that, where it's fitting, like if there's talk about train hopping, maybe throw in a train sound or something like that, just things to make the audio experience a little more immersive. And this is also the first kind of audiobook thing I've ever done. So apologies if I fuck up or I stutter or I mispronounce things, but I'm sure it'll get better as I go. And I have a few other books in mind to do for future episodes. I guess depending on how this is received and how many people like and appreciate it, or if they don't, we'll see. Maybe I'll still do it anyways. But yeah, now let's get into the book. Evasion, and the author is anonymous. In Written in 2001. The table of contents goes as follows: 5. The wrong train, free boats, retirement leisure, starvation, etc. 4. Memoirs of a dumpster diver, exposing industrial waste and eating it. Dumpster love, picking up what you want and running for it, loss prevention. Exposed gainful employment. 3. Making it up as I go, USA on $1 a day. 2. Gate crashing, all dressed up and nowhere to go, but out the door. Scam track, and then 1. Deha, Greyhound, get on 'em and go to California scheming. So that's the table of contents there. It was a romantic life, maybe to be looked back upon as the glory days of youth. If it was poverty, it was poverty only on paper. Poverty is a mathematical equation, an expression of how much one can buy. What about how much one can steal? Doesn't that count for anything? And poverty in pocket means richness of experience. We had spent uneventful periods of our lives paying rent and long practiced the dull habit of paying for things. But those years of school, work, and middle class lethargy are a blur. Being born again for us wasn't finding God, but shedding convenience. Then life began, and since then we remember each dumpster, abandoned house, and foot chase by retail security. At night, after running around, plotting and scheming, our checklist items all crossed out, we paused to think, what to do tomorrow? And the answer was always, as we please. Unemployment when one's role in life shifts from passive observer to active participant. When every day is April Fool's and every night Halloween. When we stopped shopping inside stores and began shopping in back. When we stopped going to the mall to buy things and started going to collect derelict baby strollers for the 75-cent refund. When we looked at the big crazy urban chaos and suburban sprawl, and it began to look suspiciously close to a big playground. Late night mob actions, advances on the thrift store donation bin, long bike rides through the industrial ghetto, shopping cart races and competitions to see just how many times we could make the police blotter column of the local paper. We left behind the other kids, their lives working, drinking, and being grown up, and rejected all that made them grumpy, uncreative, and lifeless. We dumpstered, squatted, and shoplifted our lives back. Everything fell into place when we decided to live our lives, when we decided our lives were to be lived. Life serves the risk taker. Some of us read all day, others chanted and held signs. Some were full time defendants. Every day and every plan and the plot were a reaffirmation that our lives were our own. Notebooks of conspiracies, crimes, schemes, and maps to abandon buildings. When everything was possible, but there wasn't enough time for everything. And even though we never completed the complete manual for urban survival, made the front page, aired the dumpster diving public access show, stole every no skateboarding sign, or patched things up with the bread delivery guy from whose truck we stole fresh bagels every morning. Well, when we were content knowing it was possible. They said not working would never work. I mean, you have to eat, right? We ate. We ate what they threw away, whatever we could fit in a basket and walk out with. Ironic that, as perceived struggling and starving kids, we maybe gave away more than we ate. What does a vegan do with 50 packages of Chips Ahoy anyway? And why did Walgreens throw them all away? We began to think maybe they were on our side, until the manager flew out the back door shaking his fist, demanding to know why we were in the dumpster. We explained our positions as freelance excess reduction engineers engaging in the reallocation of surplus. He told us to get a job. We reflected on past dives in that very dumpster, the functioning CD player, nutritional supplements, photo department discards with scandalous pictures of former high school classmates. A job? Well, if you didn't make unemployment so easy. Our philosophies evolved, from general dislike of work to the feeling of exploitation, then seeing the American way of life for what it was and turning our backs to it. Our skills evolved from starving to sustaining on table scraps at the food court, to humbly scraping by on discarded American excess, to extensive dumpster diving / shoplifting course. And when we felt like the craftiest kids in suburbia, a new all-you-can-eat salad bar would open, and we would laugh at suburbia's endless accommodating nature. What's next? Dumpstering money at the bank? Somehow, at that time, in that place, it seemed possible. But the easily liquidated video games from Blockbuster were just as good, and we found plenty of those. You're not free, they would say on their way to work. You're homeless and you're poor. Money means freedom? It was an interesting theory, one we ponder on plane rides overseas and cross-country car trips. Homeless? If rent legitimizes a residence, we were homeless because in our house we didn't pay any. They said, you can't live this way forever. Some of us agreed, and we secretly planned to leave youth behind one day. Others thought, we're good now. In 10 years, we'll be pro. In 20, we'll conquer the world. Some hoped not. They wished people wouldn't throw so much away, food, books, whole buildings, that one day the means of production would be returned to the people, so we wouldn't need their food or their old houses. They made the mess, may as well dance in it. Some of us shrugged and said, why not? Others found the implication odd that they could live their way forever, working and drinking and watching TV, and why they would do, and why they would want to. And why would they want to? It could last forever. We wondered, and while we played and plotted against the man, none of us wanted to acknowledge the impending obsolescence of our lifestyle. Signs they wouldn't let us get away with our fun forever. the loose door on our favorite apartment building hot tub fixed, video and police night surveillance of the thrift store, dumpsters being replaced by trash compactors, our favorite supermarket removing their microwave, and along with it our simple pleasures that fueled the night: oatmeal, tea, and the only method we knew of to freshen a stale bagel. Then, the same supermarket stopped leaving out the keys to the motorized handicapped shopping carts, and we had to begin walking home. Some of us went off to school, or went gangsta. Others crossed the line into a bourgeois void. Some of us are still here, taking the holy war national, and even global. Back in the old hood, one can still find scars in the landscape from a time when some of us lived dangerously. Signs of ancient battles when we armed ourselves with ambition, passion, stale bagels, and fought back. The salt water residue around the dollar slots of every Coke machine in town, blotted out graffiti, and the crowbar marks in the door of the poor old lady whose decayed home turned out not to be abandoned. Something happened when we quit our jobs, quit paying rent, quit paying for anything. And I think back to the early days, when like clouds parting to reveal the sun, we discovered what we were told had been lies, that it could be done, and that it would mean the time of our lives. Those first moments, a new house, a new life, artists, vandals, philosophers, up on our favorite rooftop, with a view of the city, passing dumpstered granola and thinking, maybe we're on to something. And then here we have an address, and it says additional copies of this book can be obtained for 6 ppd from CrimethInc HQ. That is at 2695 Rangewood Drive, Atlanta. And yeah, there's like their website, www.crimethinc.com. And it says printed on recycled paper in Canada, excluding all corporations. The text from this book may be reproduced without permission in any form and quantity by any means necessary. All events transpiring within these pages are purely fictional, so no, you can't use this as evidence, grounds for prosecution, entries into the Guinness World Book of World Records, or to develop crushes. All scams, crimes, the taking of food without paying, the cool part where our antagonist sleeps in a ditch, and the book in its entirety are offered for informational purposes only. The author will not be held accountable for the use or misuse of the information contained within, no matter how righteous or liberating. All names appear as they are to expose the guilty. If you are a lawyer or somehow involved in law enforcement, you can now stop reading this. For the rest of us, imagine a world where we don't have to say all this disclaimer nonsense. What do you think this section would say then? It would probably say that this shit probably happened, and to do it and to have your fun. And I think, yeah, that's the end of the introduction there. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be Chapter 5, The Wrong Train, Free Boats, Retirement, Leisure, Starvation, etc. Reading has actually been a lot harder than I thought it would be. Just fucking up words and whatnot. I left some of it in, I deleted some if it was like way too much. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for future ones. And don't forget to leave us a review and check out the Patreon. Thanks.